No, this takes a minute to zero.
A real boxer, a real world champion boxer, that the only other time he was in for the fans to get mad with that was against Fury's, Tommy Fury, but it wasn't that level, obviously, and all the size things you just rightfully pointed out. But he would have been in there with, it seemed crazy.
Gervonta Tank Davis has surprised fans with his new powerful look ahead of his fight with Jake Paul. Known for his strength and compact build, Tank has clearly stepped up his training. Recent gym videos show him looking bigger and more muscular than ever, making fans believe he's getting ready to match Jake Paul's size and power in the ring.
Yelling so much about him fighting someone, fight somebody your size. His next opponent is by far the most credentialed guy ever fought actively in his prime. There's one problem. He fights at 135 pounds. He fights at 135 pounds.
In preparation for his fight with Jake Paul, Gervonta Tank Davis has turned his training into an intense program focused on power and endurance. He's been doing heavy strength workouts, tough sparring sessions, and non-stop conditioning to support his new, bigger body. Reports say he's lifting heavier weights, especially compound exercises, to build upper body and core muscles while keeping up his speed and footwork. He's also sparring with larger fighters, even those close to heavyweight size, to get used to handling stronger opponents.
Yeah.
This Santa Cruz out here to catch it.
Big down, let it burn, baby, let it burn.
Mind over matter, son. Mind over matter.
This is the blues unveiled.
Ain't nobody doing no shit like this. Come in the desert. Nigga trying to stay away from the desert. He come in the desert.
When the night is
Camera.
cold and low.
Oh, see.
Say light, camera, action.
And fighting for the
Light, action, cap.
Come on, Tank. Come on, Tank. Turn him out. Turn him out, Tank. Come on, let me see. Dig down in there. Dig down in there.
10 seconds.
This is the
10
blues
seconds.
unveiled.
Don't think about it. Don't think about it.
This is the final thing.
Remember that gun on it? They got that gun on that tank. They go, time.
When the night is cold and low.
He ain't gonna keep you here late tonight. Good job.
It's been hard being away from my daughter. She actually here. She sleep. Just being away from her, it was a little touchy. But I know when I'm up, up against. I know that I got pay-per-view. I know I'm fighting a tough opponent. So really, I know how to lock in. I know how to shy away from everything. I know how to, I know how to fool around.
I said 10
Don't do I can't go on TV looking like that.
Jake Paul is naturally a much bigger fighter, and their fight rules allow a maximum weight of 195 pounds with 12-ounce gloves. Gervonta Tank Davis, who normally fights around 135 pounds, now faces a huge challenge in size and strength. Many fans and experts are concerned that gaining so much weight could slow him down and take away the speed and power that make him such a dangerous fighter.
Jake Paul, Tank Davis fight got moved to Miami.
I think Jake wins.
Jake's just so big, dude.
I think Jake wins.
This is different because it's similar. It's similar to Logan versus Mayweather, but
Jake has better
Paul
boxing.
now obviously is way more advanced than where Logan was at that moment in time.
I mean, it's just
fucking sick.
I mean, yeah, no, but dude,
Did
Jake.
you ever watch his highlights?
Jake can
He's
crack,
nasty,
man.
bro. He's so sick. I love that guy, bro.
Tank is not the guy that knows how to sell a fight. Tank cannot sell a fight in his own division. You have the Paul brothers and they come over to boxing. Their idea from day one is we don't have the skills or the experience. What we're gonna do is we'll take on the absolute best guys, but they're gonna spot us some pounds. Tank has one job to do, that it doesn't make any difference, that boxing is a real sport. My skills versus your skill, of which I am an abundance of and of which you have none of. Tank is telling anybody that will listen that there's a size problem. My skills and my experience in boxing, I do not have to wonder who's in the bar tonight. Any bar I go to, I rule the bar. No, it turns out that you don't. Just need some big guy to corner you. Apparently, boxing has never stood its ground. Boxing has never been able to explain why Floyd needed a half hour to get rid of a guy who's never boxed before. Tank Davis has already began this. When you choose a dum-dum, don't be surprised when he goes out and acts like a dum-dum.
UFC President Dana White didn't hold back when talking about the possible fight between Jake Paul and Gervonta Tank Davis. He said most people aren't really excited for it, but it could still help Tank's career. Davis has faced some negative headlines and lost momentum outside the ring, so this fight could help him get attention and make money again. White believes Paul's size, reach, and strength would allow him to pressure Davis constantly, using his bigger frame to control the fight. He admitted that Davis is a skilled and powerful boxer, but said that against a naturally larger opponent like Paul, those strengths might not matter as much. For White, this fight isn't just about boxing skills, it's about whether Davis can handle Paul's physical power and find a way to overcome it.
Is picking Jake Paul to beat Gervonta Davis. This is not a fight that I'm excited for at all. I would rather have Gervonta Davis fighting in a real boxing match against the likes of Lamont Roach, Shakur Stevenson, Keyshawn Davis, Emmanuel Navarrete, anybody that is in the 135-pound division and around, that's where I want to see Gervonta Davis fight. However, we live in a world where everybody is trying to do things as big as possible, and the biggest fights possible right now, unfortunately for the sport of boxing, is an exhibition fight between Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis. So, I do like it for this reason, though. I like it because it is allowing Gervonta Davis to have a fight that is going to be big and that the mainstream media is going to have to cover, the mainstream media outside the world of boxing. Gervonta Davis has been, without a doubt, blocked, having venues blocked, having fighters, having other promoters paying fighters away to go different directions from Gervonta Davis. So Gervonta Davis was in a bit of a hole. And he gets an opportunity to fight Jake Paul for $200 million or whatever. I don't mind it at all. As long as Gervonta Davis comes back to the world of boxing after he gets done with this, hey man, you got your money, no worries. But you gotta love Dana White having the audacity to pick Jake Paul in this fight, and says something to the effect that, hey, he was talking to Logan Paul and said, hey, when you were fighting Floyd, you know, there was this, you're a gigantic guy, big size difference. There was a time when Floyd Mayweather Jr. had an overhand right that landed flush on Logan Paul.
Bare-knuckle fighter and former UFC star Mike Perry didn't hold back when talking about the rumored fight between Gervonta Tank Davis and Jake Paul. He called it a money grab and said Davis should be chasing real boxing challenges instead. Perry questioned if Tank still has the same passion and hunger that once made him a champion. He claimed that by choosing to fight a YouTuber-turned-boxer, Davis seems more interested in fame and money than in building his legacy. Perry even suggested that Jake Paul might be working harder than Davis right now, which sparked a big debate among fans about whether Tank's motivation is fading.
Tank is big. Tank has a lot of skill, but I don't think he's the same Tank that we saw the most incredible knockouts. We saw him, Lamont Roach performed great. They went to draw, and I just don't know. And Tank walked away. I don't know if he loves it enough to beat a guy who outweighs him by 80 to 100 pounds.
During the face-off with Jake Paul, Gervonta Tank Davis looked more uneasy than usual, which surprised many fans. People noticed his tense posture, lack of eye contact, and forced calmness, suggesting that Jake's much bigger size might have affected his confidence. Standing in front of the larger Paul, Davis seemed to realize the tough challenge he's about to face. While some believe he was just staying focused and composed, others saw his behavior as a sign of nervousness or doubt.
Tank looked very uncomfortable facing off. He just did. I've seen other face-off this Tank done. He gets in their face and they're intense and he looks good. He looked very meager up there. You've had 8 fights and you're gonna go tangle with Tank Davis. And the story instantly comes out. Jake is so much bigger. There is such a compliment to Jake within that insult. It is meant to be an insult. It is meant to take away from a potentially glorious moment for Jake. But where the compliment comes is it means the public believes he's gonna win. That's what it means.
Boxing analyst Teddy Atlas shared his thoughts on the face-off between Jake Paul and Gervonta Tank Davis, pointing out the huge size difference between them. He even joked that Tank is so small compared to Jake that he'd need a ladder to reach his chin. Atlas said that while differences in skill and style are normal in boxing, this physical gap is just too big. He compared it to Canelo Alvarez moving up to fight Terence Crawford, but noted that even then, the size difference wasn't this extreme. In his opinion, Tank's shorter reach and smaller frame make the fight seem more like a show than a fair boxing match.
Right? They should also have like the size of the ring, the size of the glove, all that stuff. Particulars should be in the contract, but I would probably look for one thing that is not the common thing to have in a contract if I'm Tank. A ladder. A ladder. Can I get a ladder? Somebody? You know what I mean? Hey, look, if he hits him on the chin the way he can punch, Jake might be doing a dance. You know what I mean? Not voluntarily either. But we'll get into that more later. The thing that I'm talking about right here is what you said. It was stark. The size difference was really, you couldn't ignore it. We understand the talent difference, the experience difference. We understand all of that. But the size, the pure, and we understand small guys can beat big guys. We just saw Crawford do it to Canelo, but a little different. The size difference was, it was eye-catching, jaw-dropping. And it made me think, and I'm going to ask Richie, our man here who's doing all the taping, who does such a marvelous job. I'm going to ask him, because I know he's an expert in this area, but it reminded me of one of the Rocky movies where they had the face, where they did the wrestling thing with Rocky and Hulk Hogan, a.k.a. Thunderlips. He was Thunderlips back there. And I thought I had it right, and it was confirmed to me. It's Rocky III.
Shakur Stevenson didn't hold back when talking about the rumored fight between Jake Paul and Gervonta Tank Davis, calling it a bad matchup for boxing. The undefeated champion said the fight doesn't make sense from a competitive point of view and is more about money than real skill. He also pointed out that the huge size difference between the two fighters makes it look more like a show than a serious boxing contest.
Maybe he'll fight Jake Paul instead. What do you think of that?
I think that's terrible.
Why?
I get it, because at the end of the day, it's the money business, and you want to make the most money, but from what I'm hearing, he can make more money in a fight with me, and if that's the case, why not fight me?
Sure. Do you think he beats Jake Paul?
Do I think he beats Jake? Yeah.
It's a huge size advantage, though.
It is, but I think Tank got the skills to make sure he come out on top.
Do you think that Jake has gone better?
Yeah, I think actually Jake got tremendously better from the time frame that he started till now. And in the right situation, I also could see him become a world champion.
Really?
Yeah.
Leonard Ellerbay explained that Gervonta Tank Davis was dealing with personal issues and didn't want to add more stress at that time. This lack of motivation is the main reason the fight never happened, even though fans were expecting it. Ellerbay said Tank was more focused on fixing things in his personal life than proving himself in the ring, and leaving trainer Freddie Roach was his way of avoiding extra pressure.
Leonard Ellerbay said, to tell you the truth, Gervonta Davis couldn't get up for Lamont Roach. And what does that mean? It means that he could not get inspired. that he was not motivated to fight Lamont Roach, that his mind was not in a place where it was like, yeah, okay, let's get it. And he was going to war with Lamont Roach. He was going through the motions with Lamont Roach during the training camp and could never really get himself motivated to really give the best of himself against Lamont Roach. And that probably affected him during training and during the fight. And that is something that can happen, especially if you really look back on what happened with the Lamont Roach fight and all of the ups and downs about that fight being made. Because first, if you recall, he wasn't supposed to be fighting Lamont Roach. The person he was supposed to be fighting, guy that everybody says that he doesn't want to fight, that he didn't want to fight. Gervonta Davis was up and prepared to fight Vasily Lomachenko.
Jake Paul's boxing career often seems more about promotion than real competition. Instead of chasing rankings or titles, he picks opponents who bring attention and money, whether they're retired MMA fighters or smaller boxers like Gervonta "Tank" Davis. His fights create viral moments and keep his name trending online. By mixing entertainment with sport, Jake makes sure people watch, even if the match doesn't seem fair. The biggest concern about his rumored fight with Davis is their massive size difference. Jake is naturally bigger, with more height, reach, and weight, while Davis is only about 5 feet 5 inches and usually fights around 130 pounds, where his speed and power make him dangerous.
Holy shit, Jake Paul versus Tank Davis is actually happening. What the f is going on? I guess Tank is going broke because that's the only justifiable reason you ruin your legacy against a guy like Jake Paul. And yes, I do think Jake Paul is going to win. Tank Davis is a much better boxer and has crazy power, but he's 5'5", 130. That power is not going to carry over against someone who is 6'1", 210. And it's not like Jake is bad. Yes, his fights are boring. He says he's going to step in the ring and sleep his opponents, but the only people who end up sleeping are the audience. Mike Tyson fight. But at the end of the day, he's a big guy with power who's training boxing full time, and he has beaten some legitimate competition. Woodley, Nate Diaz, Anderson Silva, Mike Perry had a competitive fight with Tommy Fury. But it's crazy how particular Jake has to be when selecting his opponents. They have to have enough clout to be interesting, enough skill to be taken seriously as a threat, but at the same time have clear weaknesses and disadvantages that Jake and his team can exploit to win. Now that he's fighting an elite boxer, he has to fight someone 7 weight classes down. I mean, Tank could win if he makes Jake do a very aggressive weight cut, but I just don't see that happening. I got Jake by 3rd round TKO. He should put me on the co-main event and allow me to fight Francis Ngannou. That would be an easy first round knockout for myself.
MMA veteran Nate Diaz completely dismissed the upcoming fight between Jake Paul and Gervonta "Tank" Davis, saying he had no interest in predicting the result. Diaz said the fight isn't a real sporting contest, but just a show made to earn pay-per-view money. He criticized modern boxing for focusing too much on money and hype instead of real competition, saying it hurts the sport's honesty and tradition. According to him, fights like this are more about entertainment than true athletic skill, which is why he can't take them seriously.
I gotta ask you, Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis. Does Davis have a chance?
Gervonta is a great boxer, but he ain't gonna be.
So you got Jake Paul by knockout, or?
No, I don't got anybody, but I don't think.
He's just too small.
It's just. I don't want to beat up somebody that small. I don't want to. You know what I'm saying?
What do you think of the fight?
I don't want to lose to somebody that. There's no point in the fight. It's a great fight, actually.
You think
I'm
it's
not
a good
hating
fight?
on the fight, but I think. My thoughts on it is let's watch and see what happens.
Ryan Garcia said that boxing's turning into WWE.
Yeah,
with that type of matchup. What do you agree? Last thing, White House card, like he said, you want Conor McGregor?
Yeah, but the whole thing's on WWE, so
right.
It's like, at least that's happening and it's getting something to talk about, something to watch, and I'm looking forward to that fight actually.
Michael Bisping has serious concerns about Jake Paul's plan to fight Gervonta "Tank" Davis, given their huge weight difference. He pointed out that Jake is preparing to face someone almost 100 pounds lighter, which goes against the fairness of boxing. Bisping also mentioned how Jake's previous fight with 58-year-old Mike Tyson was already questionable, showing how strange matchups have become common. Many fans and experts are frustrated that these kinds of fights get more attention than real boxing contests. The rumored Paul versus Davis fight, he said, is another example of how promoters now focus more on flashy events for entertainment rather than real, meaningful competition.
That is at least 65 pounds heavier than you. That is called one thing. That's called being a bully. It was bad enough when he fought Mike Tyson, a man that was 58 years old, and he was walking around like, oh, I just beat the baddest man on the planet. I just destroyed Mike Tyson and went out there and I beat him, and him and his brother are all celebrating and shit like that. It's like, dude, what are you doing? What don't you understand about this? If you want respect from your peers, if you want everyone on the planet to look at you and take you seriously and give you credit as a boxer, you have to take on challenges that are real. You have to go up against someone that keeps you up at night, against someone that gets you out of bed in the morning to go for a run because the fear of them beating you down is real. Not going up against someone that is so small. If you were to go up to this guy in a bar and try and start a fight with them, people would look at you and say one word, whoa, 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 stop being such a bully. Leave him alone. You are way bigger than this guy. And that's clearly what we have here. It is ridiculous. When you look at the tail of the tape, Gervonta Tank Davis, granted, a very, very skilled boxer, a world champion. He's had some great wins. He's had a tremendous career. He's got 28 knockouts on his record. I'm just looking at the tail of the tape here. 30 years old, Jake Paul, 28. Gervonta Davis is 5'5" tall, whereas Jake Paul is 6'1". I would never dream on picking on a guy that is 5'5" tall. Granted, there's some tough guys out there that are 5'5", okay? They're smaller guys, you know, but for 5'5", they'll pack a good punch. Typically, they're mixed martial artists or boxers, yeah.
Do you see this fight as an exciting crossover event or just another publicity stunt that damages boxing's reputation? Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and stay informed. Stay tuned for more updates, and let's keep our news accurate.